If you tell me you're leaving, I'll make it easy. It'll be okay. If we can't stop the bleeding, we don't have to fix it. We don't have to stay. I will love you either way. Ooh, it'll be okay. Hey, it's Nate from Echo City Music Lab. Today I'm doing a piano tutorial for It'll Be Okay by Shawn Mendes. This one was a recent request. I checked out the song, and I'm a sucker for a really emotional, simple piano song with a good melody. And it's really the same chord progression, just 3 chords, over and over again for the whole song. But there's some cool variation. There's different inversions of the chords, there's some arpeggios, different rhythms. So I'll show you the chords and then we'll walk through the whole song. I'll show you everything that happens. And then as always, at the end, I will play and sing the whole thing through. Let's do it. Okay, so here is the basic chord progression that repeats throughout the song. I recommend getting the chords and lyrics chart. I left a link down in the description. That'll help you follow along with where the chords line up with the different words you sing. We're in a pretty slow 4/4 time, so that's 4 counts per measure, and we've got a measure of C, a measure of G, and then 2 measures of D. And you probably know these chords. C major, it's C, E, and G, all white notes. G major, that's G, B, D, all white notes. And then D major, that's D, F sharp, and A. But we're going to use some inversions. And the song starts with just the right hand on this inversion of a C chord. So it's like taking the C up here. We've got E, G. Notice I'm using my second finger there. And C up there. Are we gonna make it? So here for this G, we're also doing an inversion. We inverted it down. The D is down here. So that's going to be D, G, and B. And then when we go to the D, it's just going to be a root position D. Now notice that from that G to the D, your thumb can stay right where it is on D. Are we gonna make it? Is this gonna hurt? 2, 3, 4. I'm going to play it again there, even though on the recording it's organ, it just holds out. The piano doesn't have quite as much sustain, so I play it for the second one. Oh, we can try to sedate it, but that never works. Yeah. So there's this little melody before it leads into the first pre-chorus. That's just D, E, F sharp. Rhythmically, we got to think 8th note, so that's the space between the counts 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. And the D, E, and F rhythmically was on the and after 2, 3, and after 3 of the second measure of the D chord. So like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, and 3, and 4. Which leads us right into the pre-chorus, which sounds like this. I start to imagine a world where we don't collide. So notice I actually did different inversions for the C and the G there. For the C, I did one where the G was on the bottom, then C and E. Then for the G, we just did root position. So our thumb stays where it is. These fingers kind of collapse down as just G, B, D. And then for the D, root position just like before. And this is actually a really good illustration of the power of inversions because we heard it like this for a few times as the song was just kind of starting out. And then I start. And all of a sudden we get this higher note E. The chord sounds a little brighter and it really brings out that sort of uplifting feeling of this moment. And we're also getting that emotional sense of energy growing because the left hand has now entered the picture, which is giving it a little bit more power. So when we did the C chord, I put my thumb on this C. So this is middle C. This is an octave lower, bass C. I start to imagine a world. So notice that we have G over B. So that's a G chord where B is the bass note. So I just step to my second finger on B there. And notice that rather than the root, but that gives it, again, that word uplifting. It's just a bit of more of an emotional sound there. World where we don't collide. And then just kind of hop the hand down to hit that D bass note there. It's making me sick, but we'll heal and the sun will rise. If you tell me. So that would be going into the chorus. One little detail is the first time it goes down to the D, a world where we don't collide. There's this little 3, 4. Just kind of steps up to a G and then back down to the F sharp. It's like kind of like a sus4 sound. Just a little thing that they throw in there. You can throw it in if you like. Okay, for the chorus, we're gonna keep doing those same right hand chord voicings, this shape for the C and the root position for the G, and it's gonna be like that for most of the song. But for the bass notes, we're gonna go down even lower and go do C here rather than up here. And then if you put your pinky there, conveniently, you can put your thumb on G for that bass note, and then down using your 4th finger for the D. And I'm going to start doing quarter notes in the right hand just so we get a little bit more of a energy, a little more of a pulse. On the recording, you hear a lot more of beat 1 and 4, especially beat 4. You can kind of accent that a little if you like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. If you tell me you're leaving, I'll make it easy. It'll be okay. If we can't stop the bleeding. I did that little sus4 variation in back on that one, like D, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. So did it on the and after 4. If we can't stop the bleeding, we don't have to fix it. We don't have to stay. 2, 3, 4, pause. I will love you either way. Ooh, it'll be okay. Ooh. So obviously this part's a little bit trickier. I'll show you how to do that arpeggio. If that is a little bit too intense for you, especially while playing and singing, I had to practice this a decent amount before I could do this tutorial. You could just stick with the quarter notes, it'll sound great. It's the exact same chord voicings and left hand arrangement as well, but this cool 16th note arpeggio happens. So if this is our tempo, the rhythm of the 16th notes are 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a... And the pattern I'm doing each time is you start on the top note with your pinky and you go back and forth twice. So in terms of the finger numbers, 5, 3, 5, 3, and then you go back up to 5, and then you're just skipping up and down. 5, 3, 1, 3, 5, 3, 1, 3, 5, 3, 1, 3. So all together, back and forth, then all the way down, up, down, up, down. And it's the same thing on the G. And same thing on the D, but there's 2 measures of D, so we get the back and forth, up and down, then back and forth again as the second measure happens. Left hand's just doing those same bass notes. Ooh, it'll be okay. Sounds like maybe on the recording they sort of pause the arpeggio pattern for the last beat or so of each measure, like... I actually find that harder to play and sing at the same time because I'd rather just kind of get my hand in a groove and not have to think about stopping it. So I'm just going to play it through. I think they sound similar. So then we're in the second verse, and the second verse starts kind of stripped back. It's just, oh, the future we dreamed of is fading to black. So it strips back to just the right hand. And this is the second of 3 times in the song where it's right hand only. And for those moments, and only those moments, is where we do the lower inversion. So not that one, but the one we started on. So we're going to do, oh, the future we dreamed of is fading to black. So bringing the left hand in on black and returning with some of those quarter notes. 3, 4, and no, and back up to the higher inversions now. No, there's nothing more painful, nothing more painful. Another sus4. Oh, start to imagine a world. So now we're in a pre-chorus, which has those G over B, although a little more energy than that first pre-chorus. We're doing the quarter notes. Don't collide. You could even do kind of this rocking back and forth. Instead of just the quarter notes, you could do the 1 and 2. So top 2 notes together, bottom note, top 2 notes together, bottom note, sort of on eighth notes. Sounds like maybe it's doing that in the recording. It's a little hard to tell there, but I think it sounds good. I start to imagine a world where we don't collide. It's making me sick, but we'll heal and the sun will rise. If you tell me you're leaving. So for the first of the 2 D measures there, I just did this little eighth note build. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. If you tell me. So that, of course, is leading into the next chorus, which is basically just like the first one. I think the only difference is that we don't pause for I will love you either way and transitioning to that arpeggio. So I'll play the chorus. If you tell me you're leaving, I'll make it easy. It'll be okay. We'll do that sus4 thing. Da, da, da. And if we can't stop the bleeding, we don't have to fix it. We don't have to stay. There's another sus4 thing. I will love you either way. Ooh, it'll be okay. Ooh. And then we hit the bridge, which is 2 more times through the progression. Weird thing about the bridge is only in the second half of the bridge it does the G over B. So I'll go up to that higher C bass note and step down for that. It keeps doing that arpeggio pattern throughout, just like before. There is a difference on the Ds though. It goes, and then on the second one for the back and forth rhythm, it actually hits the fourth and goes, and then back up to the regular. I'll do that one more time. So I'm going to throw that all in there, but I just want to say, in this section, the arpeggio is pretty buried. There's like strings and lots of stuff going on, and it is hard to play and sing at the same time. So I think the bridge would sound great for a solo piano version, just doing the quarter notes or whatever you find works best for you. I will love you either way. It might be so sweet, it might be so bitter. I will love you either. So going up to the C this time. Way, it might be so sweet, it might be so bitter. Ooh. Now we're in the outro. So for the outro, it strips back one last time to right hand only. So that means we're doing the lower inversion of the C. Oh, if the future we dreamed of is fade into black. Now on the second measure of D here, add back in that left-hand bass. On the recording, it's like this cool synth bass that swells in, but for piano, I think that gets the effect done. And then this very last pass through the progression is a bit different. It sounds really nice. So the right hand is going to come up and do it up. So the higher inversion of C, but up an octave from where we've been doing it. And for the left hand bass notes, we're going to do the version where we do C with our thumb, then G over B with the second finger, and then down to the D. But there's a little bit more variation going on. I'll just play it and then talk it through. I will love you either way. So there's this little melody on the C. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So just stepping down, pinky, fourth finger, third finger on E, D, C. And then we land on that G over B. And then we've got a G sus4, and then back to just the regular G chord. So we're just replacing the B with the C for a second. And the rhythm on that is 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we just land on root position D. And the song is over. Okay, awesome. Thank you for sticking with me this far. I'm going to do a full run through now so you can see how all of that kind of flows together in a full cover. If this was helpful to you, I would appreciate it if you would subscribe, turn on the notifications, give the video a like. These things are helpful to me. Also, keep the requests coming in the comments. Like I said, this one was a request. All right, here's my version of It'll Be Okay. Are we gonna make it? Is this gonna hurt? Oh, we can try to sedate it, but that never works. Yeah. I start to imagine a world where we don't collide. It's making me sick, but we'll heal and the sun will rise. If you tell me you're leaving, I'll make it easy. It'll be okay. If we can't stop the bleeding, we don't have to fix it. We don't have to stay. I will love you either way. Ooh, it'll be okay. Oh, oh, the future we dreamed of is fading to black. Oh, and no, there's nothing more painful, nothing more painful. I start to imagine a world where we don't collide. It's making me sick, but we'll heal and the sun will rise. If you tell me you're leaving, I'll make it easy. It'll be okay. And if we can't stop the bleeding, we don't have to fix it. We don't have to stay. I will love you either way. Oh, it'll be okay. Oh, I will love you either way. It might be so sweet, it might be so bitter. I will love you either way. It might be so sweet, it might be so bitter. Oh, if the future we dreamed of is fading to black, I will love you either way.